Okay, so we've got the Senfglas' Druid versus SilverName's Rogue. And this is definitely a matchup that we've seen already today. It'll be interesting to see if Senfglas is actually running the same Druid that, of course, his teammate Cypher was. Last week, with Complexity versus Navi, we saw that both players ran the exact same decks, the exact same lineups, with the exact same bans. This is a team league, so the players are actually allowed to play together if they so choose to over Skype. So it will be very interesting to see if that's something that, if they're completely sharing strategies, then it will make sense that a lot of the time we do get the exact same lineups from both players with the exact same bans, with the exact same strategies. This is where, in the previous game, Cypher would have played Raven Idol into Wild Growth, but it's very difficult to justify doing that when you have two Innovates in your hand. It turns out you can actually have too much ramp when you play Druid, and this is definitely one of those situations for Senfglas. We're seeing a very similar scenario to the one that we did before, where Senfglas has all of the mana that he could possibly want in the world, but absolutely nothing that he can do with it. Of course, Cypher had that issue in the first game last series until he was able to play Yogg-Saron and completely even the score. Senfglas now picking up Fandral. That is a huge draw, though. He's able to play that and innovate out Wrath in order to then draw an extra card. That's pretty big, as every single card counts at this point. And Senfglas probably doesn't mind too much that he's floating 1 mana by making this play, as it means he gets to draw a card. And he's got all of the mana he could possibly want. But he does need more cards, pretty badly. SilverName has a lot of options here, and this is one of the reasons that Rogue is considered generally one of the hardest classes to play. He could definitely pull off a really strong Violet Teacher play here, with Violet Teacher, Preparation, Sap maybe on Fandral. But the question is sapping Fandral good enough? Does he maybe want to get rid of it completely? That's actually pretty difficult to do in this situation. Obviously, SilverName has the other problem. He does not know this, but Senfglas has Swipe in hand, so he could pull off this humongous Violet Teacher, but that wouldn't actually be enough to pull back the board. It's interesting to me that SilverName's going for a Sap here, rather than a Shadow Strike. Obviously saving the Shadow Strike for something bigger, or maybe using it next turn and saving the Preparation for Gadgetzan Auctioneer. It looks like on this occasion, though, he's definitely going to have to play the Shadow Strike next turn. Whether he decides to also play Violet Teacher and Preparation is another story. He might even decide to conceal the board for that little bit of extra protection against Swipe. Okay, so SilverName is not going to play the Conceal. That means that Senfglas' Swipe is going to go right through SilverName's board. Now leaving the shoe on the other foot, as it were, as SilverName is going to have absolutely nothing in his hand. And Senfglas has a Zerdrake. That's a method for drawing another card. He has Fandral, which is just unlimited value when it can't be destroyed. Things are looking very tough for SilverName right now. SilverName could get very lucky with this Undercity Huckster here if he drew into a card like the Nourish we can see in Senfglas' hand. Because that's what SilverName needs more than anything right now. He needs to refill his hand. Gadgetzan Auctioneer would be pretty huge, as he could just use Backstab for the cycle, use Conceal for the cycle, and, you know, also for its effect to conceal the Auctioneer, and actually start drawing into his win condition. But at the moment, there is absolutely nothing he can do. Healing Touch is definitely not what SilverName wanted from that Undercity Huckster. But now Fandral is able to play... Senfglas is able to play Fandral and Nourish. The extra mana doesn't actually matter here, unless he wants to use it this turn. But the card draw really does matter, as this does seem to be a game where it really does matter who has all the cards. They both used up all of their cards early, but Senfglas has been able to restock his hand, where SilverName sadly has not been able to do that. Then Ring Farseer, Healing Touch. SilverName has all of the healing that he could possibly ever want right now, but absolutely nothing that he can actually play to take this board back. Even a Yogg Saron in this position would not be good enough for SilverName because he doesn't have the mana to play the card. If he could stall out for one turn and then play it, then maybe, but at the current rate that it's going, Senfglas is just going to steamroll SilverName, and there's nothing that SilverName can do about it. Cold Blood is unfortunately not what SilverName needed, and I wouldn't be surprised. There it is. There's the concede. This is looking very much like an aggro shaman from SilverName's side here, as is very relevant from the Lava Burst in hand. A lot of shaman forego that card, but not the aggressive type. And again, Senfglas starting strong. There's the Malagos in hand, indicating that this is in fact the same, or at least a very similar build to what his teammate Cypher is running. And of course, SilverName does get a hit on that Flame Juggler, meaning that Senfglas is in a slightly disadvantaged position. He can clear the board, but like with the game with Cypher, when SilverName puts out the Flamewreath Faceless, Senfglas is going to struggle to deal with it. It might be possible that Senfglas actually decides to play Wrath to draw a card, or even saves the Wrath, knowing that he'll need it soon. And yep, he's actually going to just shapeshift, deal with the Flame Juggler, and save the Wrath to help him deal with a Flamewreath Faceless or whatever big threats the Shaman have next. SilverName doesn't hesitate for a second there. He's straight away putting a 7/7 on board, saying, "You're a Druid, deal with this." And of course, Senfglas is now in a really tough spot. Wrath doesn't do anything. Moonfire doesn't do anything. Fandral does something with Wrath next turn when he has the mana for it. It looks like SilverName is gonna be stomping over Senfglas right now. Next turn, SilverName can play the Totem Golem. Senfglas is just putting up Fandral just as a way to eat up 7 damage. SilverName will destroy Fandral as it's such a high priority target, but this hasn't done anything to take the board back from SilverName, especially as SilverName isn't even going to be trading the 7/7 into the Fandral. He's going to be trading the Murloc in and just smacking 7 damage to the face. Wow. So when he's on 7 mana and Senfglas actually decides to play My Keeper to gain a mana crystal rather than to develop the board, you know that he's trying to ramp up for something. SilverName doesn't know whether it's Yogg-Saron or what Senfglas is trying to ramp up into, but as we can see, it looks like Senfglas wants to get that early Malygos down. Obviously, Senfglas will be afraid of Hex, as that is a card that would completely shut Malygos down right now. But if SilverName doesn't draw Hex and doesn't actually pick up another way of dealing with Malygos, it could just sit there and spew 7 damage Moonfires or whatever Senfglas draws. It is possible that it's the beginning of a comeback for Senfglas, but it doesn't look likely at the moment. Yeah, we're almost definitely going to see Malygos come down now, and Moonfire to hit the Totem Golem. Senfglas is in this desperate position where he just needs to prevent all of the damage that he possibly can. We did see a Nourish pickup, which could actually be really relevant next turn. If Senfglas is to draw into a swipe with Malygos still on the board, that could be completely a comeback. Cards like Swipe, Feral Rage are actually huge here for clearing the board, gaining armor, and putting Senfglas back in a good spot. And given that he's the more aggressive build, it's possible that SilverName doesn't even run Hex and won't be able to deal with that Malygos at all. Violet Teacher is good, but rather than generate the totem, Senfglas definitely wants to see if he can draw a swipe or a method for clearing this board rather than generating tokens. Moonfire was very helpful, but only good for dealing with one threat. As I said before, the dream for Senfglas would have been drawing a swipe there, but Moonfire will have to do the trick. And he's even going to innovate out a hero power, it looks like, because what else is he saving his innovate for? And at this point, against the Shaman, every armor counts. All it takes is for SilverName to pick up Doomhammer and then maybe a Rockbiter weapon, and this game would be over very quickly. The question is, does SilverName now go face? Or does he put all of his Trog, Lightning Storm, Lightning Bolt, and Hero Power efforts into clearing that Malygos? Nope. He clears the Drake, but then continues to go face. Now, Senfglas could play Wild Growth, or this might be one of the crazier Yogg-Sarons we've ever seen with the spell damage boost. Instead, he's actually going to go Violet Teacher Wild Growth, which seems far more sensible now, given that it would take a single Yogg spell to his home face to end the game for Senfglas early. Now that he has Malygos on the board, Senfglas is consistently not drawing spells, which is pretty frustrating for him. However, he has managed to take back the board regardless. SilverName now actually trying to keep himself alive by pinging minions rather than pinging the face. Power of the Wild also is not a spell that deals damage, but that is going to generate a lot more damage to kill SilverName in what looks like it would probably be 2 turns. As SilverName switches to his zoo. SilverName didn't play Mage, unlike Ina, so it's pretty clear that if Fate Takama are working together and playing the same decks, Anox are not trying that strategy. They're trying something a little bit different. Could argue that makes them less predictable. You could argue it makes them less coordinated. But there's that question again. Can you ever have too much ramp? Senfglas is going to ponder this while he considers playing both Innovates and Nourish to take him up to 5 mana next turn. Also, that play would allow him to Hero Power and deal with Possessed Villager. It would just leave him a little bit empty-handed for the next 5 turns until he can play Yogg-Saron. Senfglas actually just decides to Hero Power, hit the minion. Looks like he doesn't want to float his mana here, so I think we'll almost definitely see Innovate into Nourish next turn. But he's going to save that second Innovate to get Yogg-Saron much earlier than he would have done had he played both Innovates on turn 1. One thing Senfglas might be considering is actually whether to draw or whether to gain mana crystals with this Nourish. And it looks like, yeah, it looks like he gained the mana crystals. Which makes a lot of sense, because now if Senfglas' hand does run dry, he can play Yogg-Saron in 2 more turns anyway, so it doesn't even matter that much. SilverName deciding to play the Voodoo Doctor and actually save the Abusive Sergeant, which makes a lot of sense. He wants to play that later to buff up a minion for a surprise kill, rather than to just push 2 pointless extra damage to the face now. And as a Zoo deck, you're not too bothered about healing. It would make a lot of sense, due to the fact that you're going to be taking damage every turn to draw, but SilverName values making efficient trades later on more, and that makes a lot of sense. Of course, with all of this extra mana and all of these spells in his hand, Senfglas was actually able to deal with SilverName's board without too much of a struggle at all. He's not going to have many cards in his hand soon, but Senfglas is then, in 2 turns time, I assume, going to just Innovate Yogg-Saron and not even worry about it. Yogg, draw me half my deck, clear his board, summon me a Misha, a Huffer, and a Leok. Oh, and there's Malagos. That also helps with the empty hand thing. Drawing high-value minions right now is very important for Senfglas, and assuming Yogg-Saron doesn't discard it, that Malagos is going to come in very useful a little bit later. There it is. There's the innovated out Yogg-Saron. Okay. There. And what did I say? The main thing Senfglas wanted from that Yogg-Saron was to draw out half of his deck. And immediately he gets a Mind Vision and a Lay on Hands. Step 2 of the Yogg-Saron plan is clearing the opponent's board. Except Yogg-Saron is still very hooked on step 1, it looks like. That was quite the impressive Yogg-Saron, although, as I think it's come to be acknowledged in the Hearthstone scene, that's what you expect from Yogg-Saron. That is nowadays what you'd consider a normal Yogg-Saron. One that clears the board and puts you in a very, very, very good spot. Senfglas is even able to play the Arcane Giant here. This is absolutely insane. And he's saying, well, SilverName, what have you got? And SilverName has 6/1/1 tentacles. That is what SilverName has. And it looks very much like this is lethal to me. And that concludes